We welcome to the program now Mississippi's Senator Josh Harkins, represents District 20. That's Rankin County, serves as the chair of the Senate Finance Committee. That means it is his job to make sure we got enough money coming in to run the place in general. Senator, I know I talked to you late last week, and you were headed to Starkville to watch the basketball game.
Yeah.
Man, that's a pretty good game. State played well.
It was some good basketball this weekend.
Yeah, Ole Miss on
Everybody,
the road. Yeah, really good stuff. So Auburn's good. Taking down a ranked opponent like that is a big old deal. So I know that was a lot of fun. But, all right, we're back in session, regular session this week.
Yeah, I don't foresee any special sessions this week, so we'll get back to the regular session, and we got a couple weeks before the deadline for bill filing. So you're probably pick back up on a lot of hearings that are customary this time of the session. So I know we'll have a couple of hearings coming up in the Finance Committee maybe later this week and next week. So just getting kind of geared up to start taking on legislation. Bills are being referred, still being dropped. They got a lot of time for bills to be filed, so we'll just kind of steady as she goes right now.
Well, let's talk about, of course, the special sessions. Two big back-to-back in as many weeks, gigantic economic development projects announced by Governor Tate Reeves. I mean, wow. Unprecedented.
What a month for him. And considering where he was 4 years ago, the month he was having in January.
Yeah, that's right.
4 years ago, there were floods, tornadoes.
COVID.
We're about to have COVID fall upon us. So I told him the other day, the good Lord has a sense of humor. He's throwing him a bone for the January he received 4 years ago. But look, it's a great. It's been a great 2 weeks. I think that his team has been really busy for these both to fall kind of simultaneously for all intents and purposes. It's it's a lot of work and a lot of negotiating up to the last minute on both projects, and happy that we got both of these across the finish line on the legislative side.
Yeah, and I was proud of the legislature for taking care of the measures necessary to approve these deals in short order, and the governor made that point. When the Marshall County project was announced, that I think he said, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, anybody who's ever worked in this building knows that it's pretty unusual to have something get passed by both chambers in such a short amount of time. But I think the good news is that our legislators understand how critical it is that we continue to scale Mississippi's economy, that addresses so many of our needs.
It does, and it's the providing bigger, better paying jobs for our citizens is one of the major goals of, I think, most all legislators. I mean, that's what we strive for, is to provide opportunity for our citizens and for upward mobility. To they may be in a job right now that they're doing okay in, but there comes along an opportunity that they can step up and get a better paying job and a higher paying job and an opportunity for their family. It's generational change that is an opportunity that's before us, and anything that we can do to provide those better paying jobs for our citizens when they come along, that's what we strive to do.
Yeah. Well, it's good news, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
It's a great day to be in Mississippi, I dare say. I think there's more coming, honestly. I think the world is taking note that Mississippi is a great place to invest. And I think, and I know you're already aware of this, the phone's already ringing a little bit, as you know. So
it's a good position to be in. But I think, and that goes to the hard work of our MDA folks over there, our friends at MDA and the governor, and going out trying to make sure, one, they vet these projects. They vet the vendor that's going to be coming. They do a lot of homework. There's a lot of work that goes into it. These things don't happen overnight. I mean, I think Project Atlas, it was 4, 5, 6 years in the making. The project up in Marshall County, there have been several projects that had come before that we were the final two choices, and it got down to whether we match another state, and the governor was prudent and didn't do it. Wasn't going to overextend us, and I applaud him for that. But it's it's just an exciting time right now, and I think that what you're seeing, and Lieutenant Governor Hoseman said this in the press conference, this isn't luck, this isn't happenstance that we're in this position. It's due to a lot of hard work, and it's due to a lot of sacrifice and a lot of prioritizing. For years, we've passed. I mean, I'm sure your host or your guest later on today will tell you some of the things that had happened in the past several years that led to this. Bills that we had passed in prior sessions that cleared the way for some of these hurdles to be removed in order for this Project Atlas to take place. So it was hard work. It was prioritizing commitments to site development and all these different things that we've done that put us in the position where we were these past 2 weeks to take advantage of the opportunities that we have before us.
No doubt, and we should also highlight the monumental efforts, as you're well aware, of local economic development teams, supervisors.
Both instances with both these projects, you had an enormous effort by the local economic development authority and the county on both projects. So it's a collaborative effort, it's a team effort, and there's a lot of attaboys and attagirls to go around.
No doubt. And I thought the governor, the lieutenant governor, and Speaker of the House did really well in recognizing all those who played a role here, including, as you referenced, Entergy.
Absolutely.
Mr. Sackerly on the program later. And you're so right. I do want to highlight that because it is important that our legislature has kind of cleared the boards, if you will, and eliminated a lot of the administrative and regulatory hurdles that allow Entergy and others to do what they got to do to land these big projects. It's critical.
It is critical, and I think that's what, I had a individual from up north call me this past week when Project Atlas was going forward, and he said, look, we're watching. He said, if we have other folks that are interested in doing this, is there an opportunity for us here? And I said, absolutely. And he represents a lot of the same type players that are out there, and they're taking note. They're watching. They're seeing what's going on in Mississippi, and I think that he was shocked that it lasted half a day. They were kind of blown away by the fact that we got all this done in a day, and they thought the special session would last a week or two, and they were kind of shocked that we got it done so fast. But that's kind of the way we do it here. We vet it, we work on it, we try to focus on it. And I heard people saying, well, why are we doing a special session in the middle? Y'all are already here, and I think that's to control the call and control the issues that, sometimes these things would, if they weren't in special session, anybody could add any amendment to it on any project, and you'd wind up getting a bridge over here and a red light over here, and it's not, it clouds it up. And so that's why the need for a special session is to focus the efforts of the legislature on a singular project and not let get run away.
No, it was the right approach, and your colleague, Senator Briggs Hobson, said the same. He explained that, the rationale for that. So consistent there, no doubt about it. Big-time deal, and I think that we can't even appreciate at this point and imagine the byproduct, the spinoff from this, and the complementary investments in businesses that I think will accompany both of these.
Look, we're looking at a $10 billion commitment and a $1.9 billion commitment between these two projects. What people aren't even talking about is the other economic development project on behalf of your next guest and his company. I'll let him talk about it, but that's a huge multi-billion dollar deal.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's there's a lot of economic activity in Mississippi.
Yep. All right, so back to work in regular session. First thing I'll ask you about, we're about to go to break. We can catch it on the other side of the break. But the ballot initiative process, as you know, the House passed a measure last week. It's headed, it's been transmitted to the Senate. You guys will be taking that up. Where do you see that going at this point?
I don't know. I don't know what the version of what the House sent over. I heard a few people talking about it the other day, and it's a little different from what they sent over last year. So we'll look and see what the specifics are on the bill. I think it maybe had a different threshold.
It does.
It also had some exclusions of what could or could not be considered. So I'm sure everybody will be really intent on looking at what the provisions of the proposed bill are.
Okay. All right, so we're taking a break right here. We've got Senator Josh Harkins in the Element Well studio. When we come back, we'll talk about one of the favorite subjects you and I like to discuss. That's taxes.
All right.
We're coming right back, folks. Stay with us. And we are, of course, chatting with Senator Josh Harkins. He's from Rankin County, serves as the chair of the powerful Senate Finance Committee. All right, so, gosh, tax reform. You and I have had a number of discussions on the air and offline as well, and had Speaker of the House Jason White on the program Friday talking about it. You know, the governor has indicated that full elimination of the income tax is a top priority for him, and I'm for that too, but it depends on how you do it, right?
Yeah,
so,
I've tried to be consistent in how I've shared my view on this. How you cut taxes matter. I mean, the world is littered with stories of people that have gone over and above gotten over their skis a little bit and had to pull back, and for whatever reason, Kansas is always the model they talk about, but they don't talk about the underlying circumstances behind it.
Yeah.
But the action of overextending yourself is still what took place, and we don't want to do that. Now, we have taken a measured approach, and we cut taxes 2 years ago, and we eliminated the 4% bracket last year. This year, our overall marginal tax rate will go from 5% to 4.7%. The following year, will go to 4.4%, and then the next year, 4%. And as it escalates in a downward trajectory, we can take kind of a snapshot of the economy, look and see where we are. There are other taxes that we've cut since we made that tax cut. We eliminated the sales tax on software as a service.
Yep.
That costs money, and all these different sources of revenue that come into the state provide for government. And I've talked with you before about all the agencies you would have to eliminate, everybody in the agency and their function. And I think I listed maybe 10 or 11 agencies, and these were not just no-namers that you've never heard of. These were, audit, the Attorney General, Secretary of State, Department of Public Safety, Department of Health, Child Protective Services, Homestead, Military, Rehab Services, and that only eliminated $1.4 billion. And it's about a little over $2.2 billion that we're talking about that comes in from the income tax. So how you eliminate it matters. It's not going to happen overnight. We've taken a series of steps to lower it to 4%, which is I think, fifth lowest as of right now, but other states are actively doing the same thing. And so we're going to have to constantly monitor our tax policy, but it's not just individual taxes that people want relief from. It's, you've heard people talking about the grocery tax. The problem with the grocery tax in some people's minds is it's not just a dollar for dollar. It costs more than eliminating the income tax. When you lower it $1, it's a dollar for dollar. But when you lower the grocery tax, you also have diversions that are built into that sales tax that you collect, that go to municipalities, that go to education, that go to Department of Public Safety, that go to all these different places that you're either going to eliminate their revenue by cutting it, or you're going to have to make them whole. So it's going to cost you $1, probably $1.28, $1.30 for every dollar you cut. So it's just, how do you, what is the consensus around where to invest those dollars that ordinarily would be coming in to give back? I prefer the income tax more than the others, but how we cut that matters. And I think we're trying to take a strategic approach and not overextend ourselves, but also looking at what is our spending. We're trying to maintain spending at a low level and not blow budgets out, because we're in this period of kind of this hyper economy that, when all the federal money came in, all the activity that it's, spurred, well, that's not going to be coming in next year or the year after. So we're going to have to be prudent in how we spend our money, and also, any leftover that we have or any extra money, how can we give that back to the citizens? And so I think it's, we'll take a look at, tax cuts every year. I mean, they get filed every year, and we're going to continue to look at it and monitor it.
Well, the good news is the revenues are still fairly stable. I mean, they are. They're very stable. We're still bringing in revenues that I think are above sine die estimates, if I'm not mistaken. And that's in spite of the fact that we eliminated the 3% bracket. And, of course, now we're applying a 4.7%, right? I think, wasn't it?
4.7 will be the rate this calendar year. So
withholdings, for example, from pay are using the 4.7% rate. And we're seeing, of course, a reduction in income taxes. I know folks on the left are pointing to that as disastrous, but we're also seeing an increase in sales taxes.
Increase in sales tax, and look, we've also we haven't authorized any new bonds the last couple of years, so we're not borrowing any money right now. We're paying cash for a lot of the investments that the state is making in our infrastructure, and I think that's prudent. Like these two projects we just talked about. We're sticking cash into these projects instead of borrowing for them.
Yeah.
I think one of them was $450 million. The other one was about $258 or a little over $260 million. So some of it is going to be bonded and paid back through the fee in lieu, but some of it is an actual appropriation that is being paid for. So we have that money here for investing back into our state, but it's also, we're trying to give back to the citizens and make sure that we're staying on top of our kind of our fiscal house, if you will.
And I got to believe, I said this on the show last week, that the financial stability and the condition of the state played a key role in landing these projects. I think when these big companies are looking at states and they see states that are struggling financially, they get a little nervous about locating there.
Well, I think they wonder whether the state can deliver on its promises.
Yeah.
And that's why we pass a bond package to authorize the entire project, but we come back and we actually make an appropriation to pay cash for what is due today. And then that bond authorization is lowered by the amount of cash that we put in the project. And so hopefully what we'd like to do is to keep carrying forward and possibly pay cash for all these things and not have to borrow for it.
Right.
It makes the rate of return and the output of the project better. But I think that's the luxury we have because we have maintained our fiscal house. We have done pretty well prioritizing what we're doing, and that puts us in the position that, hey, we can deliver on the promises that we're making to both of these companies and to the folks out there. They know that we're ready and we're serious.
Yeah, and the good news is that all the places where we store assets are pretty much maxed out. I mean, we got money in the bank everywhere.
Yeah, our rainy day fund is at the statutory limit, 10% of our budget. So we're in a great position there. We've got cash, but I think one of the things that we've got to look at is what can we afford to give back to our citizens in a responsible manner, yet also do the things that they expect and require out of us.
Yeah.
I think we've seen where we've tried having to come back and plus up a bunch of budgets. Corrections is off the top of my head. Unfortunately, that's just a part of government service that the public does not want to do.
Yeah,
government has to do that, and we have to do it at a level that keeps everybody safe and also takes care of the people that need to be in there. Yeah. And so, you've seen us having to invest a lot of money in our corrections to fix some things. So it's part of it, and it's we're trying to do what we should do, and also be mindful of the people that put the money in there in the first place.
No doubt. But it does look like that based on the trajectory in our history the last 3+ years that I think we're in position maybe to take another whack at the income taxes, and I'd like to see you guys do something there. And Jason White, the Speaker of the House, said something about that Friday, that maybe we can kind of digest where we are and look at pulling that back some more without just one fell swoop and saying eliminate. And even the last bills we got a couple of years ago to do that, phase that in based on achieving certain revenue targets.
Yeah, we've had several different proposals that kind of mixed, and some had raising sales tax, some had triggers. I think what we settled on was kind of a destination, take a bite at the apple, digest it, and then let's reassess. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we're there, and maybe we can once we settle at the 4 in 3 years, we can look at reducing that even more.
That would be my hope.
Yeah. Well, and again, we've got all the various funds. We got a CapEx fund as well, right? That is in pretty good shape.
The capital expense fund is left over. So at the end of the fiscal year, the monies that are left over are split 50-50 with the rainy day fund and the capital expense fund. But when the rainy day fund is full, all that money goes to capital expense. That's what we've used to do all the infrastructure investment, to do all the road and bridge projects, the the LSBP. I mean, all these emergency road and bridge, all these things that we've stuck, site development fund. That's where we get the money to do those type of projects, is from the excess revenue that's there, and so that's what we're investing it back in the state.
And we got to go, but I'll just leave this thought as well, which is we've got plenty of borrowing capacity as well. We don't want to do that because it costs money, and the interest.
And the rates are high right now.
That's right.
I think our statutory limit may be $13 or $14 billion, and we're like right at $4 billion.
Really good shape. Yeah. Appreciate it, Senator. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Gerard. Thank you for having me.
We're coming right back, folks, in the Element Wealth studio. Don't forget Haley Fasackerly with Entergy at 11:05.